We're keeping it rolling with our top 25 intriguing players, Seahawks, for 2024. And we're already into the top 10. We're giving you guys players 9 down to 6 in this episode. And man, it's getting close to the final few here, Bryce. And that means we're getting really close to camp. So you ready to go here with these next 4?
Oh, dude, let's go. I'm ready.
Let's go. But before we go, guys, we appreciate the support we're getting here. But if you are watching this video and like what you've been watching, you're watching tonight, go down, hit the subscribe button for us. Helps us out big time. And share the vid and hit the notification button too, because that makes it that you won't miss any future episodes that are coming up. And we got some good ones leading up to camp too, so you don't want to miss it. So 4 more Hawks coming up after this.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game.
Look at this run. What a run. Marshawn Lynch, get off me.
DK.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks.
And Washington's got a lead. Leo Wilson to catch. Jackson Smith and Jimbo. The Seahawks are going to host the NFC Championship.
Every year, the NFL does.
Is it going to be another 9 and 8?
Who've got to finish something.
They have to fix the offensive
Part of his
line.
success and part of
Ambition of being the LOB one again. That's trading DK Metcalf.
Play him aggressive.
This is the Hawks Zone Rundown with Ryan and Bryce.
Getting right into it, number 9 on the list. This guy gets brought up on the pod. I almost feel like every episode. It's probably a little exaggeration, but he gets brought up a lot, and it's because we love him, man. He's one of those guys that he's sometimes just fans don't know which way to sway with him, and some people love him, and then there's been this kind of like, trade him kind of thing. We're talking about DK Metcalf, man. He's one of my guys. Bryce, you love him too, and especially coming into this year, I think he's gonna have a huge year with this new offense and Ryan Grubb. What intrigues you the most about DK Metcalf?
What intrigues me the most about DK Metcalf is I think this might be the first time we actually get to see DK being unleashed on a defense.
Yeah.
I look at the last, I just look at DK stats, since his rookie year. And this is what people forget is sometimes you forget how good you had it. And, he was 900 yards his rookie year. He was 1,300 yards his second year. He was 950 yards his third year. His fourth year, he was over 1,000. Last year, he was over 1,100 yards. Like, the guy is getting better. He's becoming more of a route runner than he was when he first came into the league. But the thing that I think is going to happen with DK this year that I don't think people necessarily will appreciate until they see this offense take the field with Ryan Grubb. We're so used to watching Seahawks break the huddle. DK Metcalf trots out to the wide side on the left.
Yeah.
And what do you think the defense knows? DK Metcalf's going to be on that side of the field all the time. Oh, maybe he'll go to the right side.
Right.
You're not used to DK Metcalf lining up in the slot, DK Metcalf lining up in a tight bunch, DK Metcalf lining up in all these different places and not being able to go, crap, like he's not in the same spot. Holy crap, DK played the majority of the snaps this game in the slot. And that's what I'm excited for, because I think for DK, a lot of things people don't understand is he's been getting double covered.
Yeah.
JSN showed up last year and we didn't really use JSN correctly. And so DK didn't get to have, true 3 receivers, him, Tyler, and JSN really making an impact. It was still a safety rolled over to DK's side.
Yeah.
I think people need to see what DK does this year before they truly pass judgment on DK Metcalf. I think you need to keep DK Metcalf in Seattle. I'm saying that right now. I think after the season, we need to extend the guy. But the thing that makes him most intriguing this year to me is how he is going to be utilized in Ryan Grubb's system. I think you're going to see it very similar to how Roman Dunze was used at Washington, another big body receiver that the Chicago Bears drafted this year. Ryan Grubb moved him all over the formations. And I think you're going to see that with DK this year, is that DK Metcalf will never be stuck on one side of the field for the majority of the game. He's going to be all over the place. You're going to have to search your TV to figure out where DK is, or if you're at the stadium, kind of use your binoculars to find him, because he's going to be all over the place because Ryan Grubb's going to use him to make matchup nightmares on the defense.
Yeah, it's crazy because you saw glimpses of him having huge games like Dallas, massive game. But even that Philly game, I think we talked with Dan. It was like, yeah, JSN made the game winning touchdown, but like who came up big time with all those big huge catches? I think there was a couple fourth down catches if I'm not mistaken. But the thing is, he just shows up, and like you said, you threw out a bunch of stats. Right. And it's kind of like, wow, those stats are pretty good. You talked to a lot of people. They're like, yeah, I think he's had some good games, but it's like, that's kind of scary when he's thrown those stats. And then people are like, yeah, we should maybe trade this guy. Like, I don't understand where that comes from. First of all, you got a guy that's built like a freaking Greek god. He's the most physically dominant receiver we've ever had in this building. And then, so then all of a sudden it's like, he gets a little competitive and heated up and people are crying about that. To me, it's like, we've had the Legion of Boom in here who led the league in penalties, who were notorious for trash talking. But it seemed like that was okay. That was good because we were winning. I think because all of a sudden the team is like, mediocre, we're squeaking the playoffs, it's under a microscope and people just get all uptight about it when you're like, man, first of all, you got to look at that. You got to look at that. You can look at that two ways. I look at that like here's an ultimate competitor. Now, sure, you want to channel it a little differently. Yeah, but I don't think that's him like saying I'm just out here hurting the team and I don't care. I'm a prima donna. I don't look at him like that. I think he's a team guy. I think he wants to do everything he can to help this team win football games. And so all that stuff aside, I'm not on board with that. I'm not on board with people who are like, hey, we need to get this guy at the door. I think you're 100% right. We extend this guy. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. And I'm excited to see what Grubb does with this guy. I agree with you, man. So many more moving around the field. Grab your binoculars because you got to keep your eye on where he is.
And here's the thing with, DK, and it was really interesting because I watched Tom Brady's interview on The Herd with Colin Cowherd a few weeks ago. And the one thing he talked about was getting your number one receiver involved at the beginning of the game.
Huge.
Don't care if it's a 5-yard hook. Don't care if it's
agree.
a 5-yard in. Get the ball in his hand as much as you can so he stays engaged in the game.
Yes.
And I watched the Seahawks games last year. There were times where it was like, okay, Shane Waldron, have you even
first half
sat there and gone, okay, cool. How am I getting DK Metcalf the ball?
No.
I need to move him. I need to do something. I need to get the ball in this man's hands so he can start being a part of our game and start threatening this defense. Because there were times where DK would go, okay, cool. He had one target in the first half. And, the Philly game was actually a prime example of that. He didn't really see the ball much until the last 2 minutes of the game where all of a sudden it was like, okay, we're going to feed DK. Okay, yeah, I worked out this time. But there's other games where we lost games because we didn't get the ball to the man enough. Like, you need to have an offensive coordinator that understands get the ball to your playmakers as frequently and move them around as much as you can to make that easy. Make Geno's job easy to get DK the ball. Okay, cool. We got DK lined up on a freaking safety or a linebacker. That's a win. Geno knows immediately he's going there with the ball. But we never did that. Schottenheimer struggled with it. Shane Waldron struggled with it. They couldn't figure it out. But what's funny is I look at other teams like Miami with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Philadelphia with A.J. Brown and all these other teams, the Rams with McVay and Cooper Kupp. What do they do with their star receivers? They move them. They find ways to get them the ball early in the game to get them engaged because guess what? Like Tom Brady even said, he goes, you really want to have a guy run his ass off 35 yards down the field and not get him the ball and then have him jog back and tell him to do it again without him knowing if he's getting the ball or not? Like, no, if you get these guys invested early, they're going to want to stay engaged in the game because they know the ball's coming to them. That is my biggest thing that I'm excited about too with Ryan Grubb. Is I think he's going to get DK the ball early and often to start football games.
Yeah, and to your point, that speaks volumes. You brought the Philly game. He probably didn't see the ball for 3 quarters, but he still comes up, steps up, makes prime time plays. Like you said, if you're a guy that, wait a second, I'm not engaged. I know I'm a number one guy. I haven't seen a football. A lot of guys will just sort of pack it in and just, you know what, I'm just going to take a couple plays off here and there. That
So
just shows his character that he's still staying engaged and really quickly. And then, because I agree with you, the amount of times where they don't get involved early, where do you think some of that frustration comes from? You don't think DBs that are poking at him, talking shit, and he's like, "Can you please give me the football?" There was games, stretches where he was never involved early, and to touch on the point where he's getting frustrated, he's only human and he's a number one guy. So that's going to boil over. And especially in the Shane Waldron system, that was just, that's why it baffles me. And it baffles you that he got a job right out of the gate like that with the Chicago Bears with the number one draft pick with Caleb. Like that to me is disappointing. I'm not even a Bears fan, but just for Caleb's sake and stuff like that. So that all that what you said, and then touching on your point, this guy, man, I'm just excited that Grubb now gets his hands on him, and we can really see what kind of full potential this guy can do throughout a season.
So these are the final stats I'll throw out at our listeners. DK last year had 66 catches for 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. The year before, he had 90 catches. The year before that, he had 75. The year before that, 83. The rookie year for DK, he had 58. So all he had between his rookie year and last year was about 9 to 7 to 8 more catches, really. And on top of that, his targets dropped. He had 119 targets last year. 2022, he had 141. 2021, he had 130. 2020, he had 130. And as a rookie, he had 100. So his target share dropped by a full 10. And even in comparison to the year before, 20 times he didn't see the ball as much as he did as a rookie. As a rookie, in his third year. That is what we are talking about. When you want to see a guy be impactful, get him the ball. But again, I digress. It's really simple. This guy's going to be intriguing this year to see in this offense. I tell everybody, don't pass judgment on DK Metcalf on whether you want him out of here or not until you see him in Ryan Grubb's offense.
I agree. And I digress too, because we can go on for another hour on DK. And I think, we're going to, on a future app, we're going to really dive into DK a lot more. So, that's just a little bit of, our thoughts on DK. And, we're a little passionate about him because we love him. We just think, we just think he's the guy. You don't want this. You don't want to let a guy like this go and, hey, let's help out another team. So let's move on, man. Number 8, guy we re-signed. We had a few tight ends last year in that room. We were kind of going back and forth. Who should the Hawks sign? We like this guy. Are they going to pay this guy? They lock up Noah Fant, man, and that's exciting, man, because this guy's got a lot of talent, and he could definitely be a piece that's going to get you this offense. What intrigues you the most about Fant?
Again, what intrigues me, it's almost the same as DK, is I don't think we've seen Noah Fant used properly. And that's the biggest issue I have. So, like, when he was in Denver, he put up more yards in his rookie year than he has in his years in Seattle. And this seems to have been the Pete Carroll issue with tight ends. Whoever he had as an offensive coordinator could not figure out how to get a pass-catching tight end involved in the offense. Whether it was Zach Miller or whether it was, I'm trying to think, Jimmy Graham. Like, yes, Jimmy Graham put up amazing numbers his one year that he was fully healthy and able to do things, but we never really used Jimmy Graham properly. We never truly split him out and did the same things that the Saints did with him and used him as a matchup nightmare. And that's the thing, too, I look at with Noah Fant is I think Ryan Grubb looks at Noah Fant and goes, cool, I've got another big target I can use and create matchup nightmares. I'll split him out wide and I'll put him in here and I'll move him all over the place. And so I look at his numbers in the last 2 years with Seattle. He's averaged about 450 yards. He's averaged between 30 and 50 catches. He's only seen the ball between 63 was his max and 43 last year for targets. When he was in, so just to give people context, his rookie year, he had 65 targets. In 2020, he had 93 targets. In 2021, he had 90 targets. He had 68 catches, 62 catches in 2021 and 2020. So, like, he had over 600 yards in both those seasons 4 touchdowns. Like last year, he had 0 touchdowns. Like we're talking about a receiving tight end by trade, had 0 receiving touchdowns last year. That is a problem. So when I look at Noah Fant, I look at the excitement of him probably re-signing, going, great. I've now got an offensive coordinator that understands how to create matchups. He's going to put me in situations where I can be a big red zone target along with DK, and I can affect the game. Because truly and honestly, I look at Noah Fant and I go, yeah, his specialty maybe isn't inline blocking. Great. That's what we brought Pharaoh Brown in for, AJ Barner in the draft. Cool. Let Noah Fant go be your receiving tight end. Let him go affect the game. Make linebackers go, crap. They got DK, they got JSN, they got Tyler Lockett will come in, and they've got Noah Fant. Like, okay, how are we going to cover all these guys? We can't. So we've got to hope we can get after Geno to cause some timing issues.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing, because I think you and I were sitting here, probably a year ago or so, kind of saying the same thing as far as like, look at all these weapons. Look at all these weapons. Pick your poison. We drafted JSN. Yeah, you got Lockett, JSN, DK. Man, how long did it take for Shane to get JSN involved? So it was just like you pick a player. We just talked about DK. Like sometimes it took 3 quarters for him to see a football. Like get him involved. A 2-yard hitch. Just get the ball in his hands. Get him involved. So, JSN, now we're talking about Fant. And it's like, it was just a disaster. If you looked at the overall numbers, okay, but like some of the other numbers weren't very good at all, right? Obviously horrendous in third downs. We can go down the list, but just getting guys involved and getting them put in the right situations again. And that's why, again, it baffles me that Waldron got another OC job, because it's like, did you not even watch the games? Did you not see the skill set that we had? So now when you look at the offense, you essentially got pretty much the same dudes. I'm not, minus a few different guys on the offensive line and stuff like that, but you got this guy that is supposed to be super dynamic, and that's what really gets you excited. And now you're like, okay, here's another guy, Noah Fant, receiving tight end by trade. And another guy where Grubb's probably like, this is amazing with all this skill I have that I can just move around the chessboard and really get excited about. So yeah, man, I'm, when they re-signed Noah, I was excited too, because I was like, okay, you know what? You and I threw it like, okay, we would like to see Parkinson back here and all this kind of stuff. But when they did sign Noah, you're like, yeah, you know what? This is the most talented out of the 3 guys we had there.
Well, and 100%, I honestly thought Noah Fant was going to price himself out, because I thought some team was going to go, holy crap, Seattle underutilized him. Let's go grab this guy. We can get him for less than what he's valued. And that's why I was like, hey, bring back Colby Parkinson. But when we were able to get Noah Fant back, I went, great. This is great. We've actually got a weapon in the middle of the field in a tight end that can affect the game. And that's going to be the thing is, again, we talk about, moving the ball and creating manageable third down situations for this offense. That's what Noah Fant can help out with in this. And I think that's what Ryan Grubb sees is, now I've got a big, solid tight end that can move, can run. I can match him up with people, and we've got another mismatch to use. And that's why what baffled me even more with Shane Waldron was, what was his position as a coach with the Rams? He was the tight ends coach. You'd think the dude would want to throw the ball to the tight end. McVay's system, they've got Higbee down there, and he was a nightmare for teams. But somehow it's like Pete Carroll coaches come in here, and it's like Pete Carroll puts first up on the board, do not throw to the tight ends unless absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
And it was just like the design of these offenses. Shoddy's was the same way.
Yeah,
Bevel, the 1 year with Jimmy Graham and they figured out a little bit on how to get him involved in the offense, and he got some targets, and he got, he set the Seahawk records, but it wasn't like Jimmy Graham was well used in Seattle. So, I think Noah Fant's going to have a very interesting year, and I think that's why he falls at number 8 on our most intriguing list.
Number 8, man. Moving on to 7. There was a bit of shuffling around and a couple of vets that are no longer in that safety room, Jamal and Diggs. But there's one guy that had a great second half of the year, and he's number 7 on the list, Julian Love. feeling like he cemented that safety role coming into this season. What's intriguing the most for you, though, with Love?
I think we're going to finally see the Julian Love explosion. I think last year he was still trying to figure out this defense that Pete Carroll and Clint Hurt were, kind of developing as they were going this Vic Fangio type thing. And when Jamal was in, Julian was more of a roll in for nickel and dime package kind of guy. And they had so much in stock in Julian Love. And then all of a sudden, when Jamal got shut down and Julian finally just got to be on the field, you got to see Julian Love's impact. And I think you're going to see, between Rayshon Jenkins, Julian Love, Kayvon Wallace, Kobe Bryant, and Jarek Reed, and Jonathan Sutherland, this is a pretty young and talented safety room. But Julian Love, I think, he's going to step up as that leader of that group. Even watching the mic'd up segment with Mike McDonald, when he talks to Julian Love, you can already kind of get that feeling like he's kind of grooming Julian to be the leader of that back end of that defense. And I honestly think, man, like Julian Love's got some really good stats. Like, when he had 4 interceptions even last year for us. He only started 12 games out of the 17. So 5 games he didn't start. That's a good chunk. He had 78 tackles, 32 assisted, for a total of 110 tackles as your safety. But when I look at his other years, like even when he was with the Giants the year before and we plucked him away from them in free agency, like he started 16 games and his numbers were comparable. He had, a couple other, things here and there, but dude, all I see is an ascending player. I think Julian Love's just getting better. I don't think he's hit his peak yet, and I think he's going to get better in Ryan Grubb's defense, and I'm expecting big things out of Julian Love this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Julian. Like you said, he's now the leader in that room, so it's like gone are the veterans, Jamal, Quandre, and now it's like, okay, now it's your role, man. It's your role, and you're the guy. So I'm excited about him too. Talking about ascending, exciting guy, man. Boye Mafe, next on the list. Had a great start to the year. He was putting up huge numbers. Then Chenna went down, and it slowed him down a little bit. But exciting young guy, another guy on this line. What intrigues you the most about Mafe?
I want to see a complete season from Boye Mafe. And I know he's only going into year 3, but this is when I want to see that complete year. Like rookie year, yeah, you kind of went through your growing pains last year. You started out like a man on fire. And then the minute Chenna got hurt and he became the focal point for offenses, okay, we got to take Boye Mafe away because they don't have another pass rusher that's going to affect the game. Boye really didn't have a counter. And what I mean by that for our listeners is you kind of, as your DN or your rusher, you've got a couple of moves, but he didn't have that counter for, okay, now the team's fully coming at me as the prime guy. I've got to be able to still create pressure and do different things. I can't just go through my normal repertoire. I've got to start adding some more things to it. I think for Boye this year, he's going to have an immediate impact from all the other guys that have come in. Leonard Williams being in there, Draymond Jones moving to edge and moving up and down that line. And I think, again, the versatility of Mike McDonald's scheme is not going to have him line up in a similar spot all the time. They're going to move him around. They're going to try and create mismatches for him and different stunts to create pressure. So I think for Boye, the biggest thing and reason I have him here at number 6 is I want to see a full season from Boye Mafe of start to finish, constant presence in the game, and really turn into what I think we all think he can be, which is a down in, down out pass rushing edge guy in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree with all those points. Full season for sure. That's sort of the thing. Chenna went down, like I mentioned too. It's kind of changed it a little bit there for him, but but again, with more depth on this line, and hopefully Chenna stays healthy because man, he's a beast. So but again, you got more pieces there. So it's kind of like let's put a full season together, see what this kid can really do. Year 3, it's time to go. So yeah, I'm excited to keep my eye out for him as well. Guys, that's another 4 already. That's another 4. So we're getting down to it. We are getting down to it, and we're getting really close to camp here too. So we're gonna be breaking into the top 5 coming up when
Top 5, final episode. Here we go.
when we get into our next episode and final episode. There's gonna be some exciting and interesting names on that top 5 for you guys. So make sure you tune in for that, and like and subscribe, guys, and hit the notification button so you don't miss that one. And again, we are not far from camp. So that's it for us, and we'll get you guys in the next one. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.